Hello everyone, this is Mahantesh Bhapri. Welcome to this video dear teachers, friends and students. Today I have brought before you a beautiful short story, a beautiful adventure story, and this adventure story is written by a famous writer called Charles Lamb. Who is the writer? Charles Lamb. What is the name of this short story? Ulysses and Cyclops. Actually, this is an extract from Charles Lamb's book ಅಡ್ವೆಂಚರ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಯುಲಿಸಸ್. ಆತ್ಮೀಯ ವಿದ್ಯಾರ್ಥಿಗಳೇ, ಈ ಯುಲಿಸಸ್ ಮತ್ತು ಸೈಕ್ಲೋಪಸ್ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಈ ಒಂದು ಸಣ್ಣ ಕತೆ ಅಥವಾ ಈ ಒಂದು ಕಾದಂಬರಿಯ ಒಂದು ಸಣ್ಣ ತುಣುಕನ್ನ ಯಾವ ಒಂದು ಪುಸ್ತಕದಿಂದ ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಳ್ಳಲಾಗಿದೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಅಡ್ವೆಂಚರ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಯುಲಿಸಸ್ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಂದು ಪುಸ್ತಕದಿಂದ ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಳ್ಳಲಾಗಿದೆ. ಇದನ್ನು ಮೂಲತಃ ಬರೆದವರು ಇಂಗ್ಲಿಷ್ನ ಶ್ರೇಷ್ಠ ಬರಹಗಾರ ಆಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಚಾರ್ಲ್ಸ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಬ್ ಅವರು. ಚಾರ್ಲ್ಸ್ ಲ್ಯಾಂಬ್ ಅವರು ಹಲವಾರು ಅಡ್ವೆಂಚರಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸಾಹಸಮಯ ಸಣ್ಣ ಕಥೆಗಳನ್ನ ನಾವೆಲ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಬರೆದಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಅಡ್ವೆಂಚರ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಯುಲಿಸಸ್ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ಕೂಡ ಒಂದು. ಸೊ ಹಿಯರ್ ವಿ ವಿಲ್ ಎಂಜಾಯ್ ಅ ಲಾಟ್. ಸೊ dear children, you might have enjoyed so many adventure stories, adventures of Sindbad, adventures of Arabian Nights, and so many. You might have heard so many stories, you might have read, you might have watched those stories on television. Right? So here it is a beautiful and adventurous story called Ulysses and Cyclops. Who is the writer? Charles Lamb. So before we start, let's study about the author. Who is the author? Charles Lamb. So still, if you have not subscribed our channel, please subscribe our channel by pressing red colored subscribe button which is on screen. Please press it and you will be connected with the world of learning in a joyful way. ಆತ್ಮೀಯ ವೀಕ್ಷಕರೇ, ಇದುವರೆಗೂ ತಾವು ನಮ್ಮ ಚಾನೆಲ್ ಅನ್ನು ಸಬ್ಸ್ಕ್ರೈಬ್ ಮಾಡದೇ ಇದ್ರೆ ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ನಮ್ಮ ಚಾನೆಲ್ ಅನ್ನು ಸಬ್ಸ್ಕ್ರೈಬ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಕೆಂಪು ಬಣ್ಣದ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಕ್ರೈಬ್ ಬಟನ್ ತಮ್ಮ ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಕಾಣ್ತಕ್ಕಂತಹ ಕೆಂಪು ಬಣ್ಣದ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಕ್ರೈಬ್ ಬಟನ್ ಅನ್ನು ಪ್ರೆಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ನಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಲಿಂಕ್ಗಳನ್ನು ಕ್ಷಣಾರ್ಧದಲ್ಲಿ ತಮಗೆ ಸಿಗ್ತದೆ. ಹಾಗಾಗಿ ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಸಬ್ಸ್ಕ್ರೈಬ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ರೈಟ್? ಸೊ ಲೆಟ್ಸ್ ಸ್ಟಡಿ ಅಬೌಟ್ ದ ಆಥರ್. Dear children, please open your textbook page number 142. Note on the author. Charles Lamb, 1775 to 1834, born in London. So Charles Lamb was born in London in 1775 and he died in 1834. Was a great essayist. Basically, Charles Lamb was an essayist, prabandhakara. Essays of Elia. So his great book on essay is Essays of Elia. A poet and a much loved storyteller. He was also poet, essayist and a much loved storyteller. He was one of the finest short storyteller. He with his sister Mary Anna Lamb wrote tales from Shakespeare. So he wrote with his sister a beautiful book called Tales from Shakespeare. Tales related to Shakespeare. Designed to make Shakespeare familiar to the young. The main purpose to write the book Tales from Shakespeare is to introduce Shakespeare to the youth, to the people who are in youth age. His Adventures of Ulysses, from which Ulysses and Cyclops is an extract. So this Ulysses and Cyclops, this chapter is an extract taken from the book called Adventures of Ulysses. ಈಗಾಗಲೇ ಹೇಳಿದಂತೆ ಈ ಒಂದು ಪಾಠವನ್ನ ಅಡ್ವೆಂಚರ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಯುಲಿಸಸ್ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಂದು ಪಾಠದಿಂದ ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಳ್ಳಲಾಗಿದೆ. ವಾಸ್ ಎನ್ ಎಂದರ್ ಸಕ್ಸಸ್ಫುಲ್ ಅಟೆಂಪ್ಟ್ aimed at familiarizing Greek epic, the Odyssey to the end. So what is the purpose to write such adventure stories? Actually, these characters we meet in the Greek epic. We meet in the Greek epic called Odyssey. The Odyssey. Epic means Mahakavya. So as we find Ramayana and Mahabharata in India, in the same way in Greek, Odyssey is the epic. So we find Ulysses and Cyclops characters in Odyssey, in the epic called Odyssey. Odyssey ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಂದು ಗ್ರೀಕ್ನ ಮಹಾಕಾವ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಯುಲಿಸಸ್ ಮತ್ತು ಸೈಕ್ಲೋಪಸ್ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಪಾತ್ರಗಳು ಬರ್ತವೆ. ಇದನ್ನ ಎಲ್ಲಿಂದ ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಓಡಿಸಿ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಂದು ಮಹಾಕಾವ್ಯದಿಂದ. ಮುಖ್ಯ ಉದ್ದೇಶ ಟು ಇಂಟ್ರೊಡ್ಯೂಸ್ ಗ್ರೀಕ್ ಎಪಿಕ್ ಓಡಿಸಿ. ಓಡಿಸಿಯ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ವಿಚಾರಗಳನ್ನ ತಿಳಿಸಿಕೊಡ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಈ ಒಂದು ಕಥೆಯನ್ನು ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಳ್ಳಲಾಗಿದೆ. ಸೊ ಲೆಟ್ಸ್ ಗೋ ಟು the short story. So before that, let's know about Ulysses. Who is this Ulysses? Please open your textbook, page number 139. Ulysses, the hero of Homer's epic Odyssey. So who wrote this Odyssey? Who is the writer? Homer. Homer is Greek writer who wrote Odyssey. Iliad and Odyssey. He wrote one more, that is Iliad. It is also an epic. So Homer, a Greek writer, wrote Iliad and Odyssey. Right? In Homer's epic Odyssey, who was the hero? Ulysses was the hero in Odyssey. He was the king of island of Ithaca in Greece. So he was the king of a particular island called Ithaca. After the Trojan War, after the war between Trojans and Greeks, he embarked to return home. So he was coming back from Trojan War. He lost his way. ತನ್ನ ದಾರಿನ ಟ್ರೋಜನ್ ವಾರ್ ಮುಗಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬರ್ತಿರ್ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಆ ದಾರಿನ ತಪ್ಪಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬಿಡ್ತಾನೆ. But he met on the way with a series of adventures. So he met a series of adventures. There took place a series of adventures, one of which is narrated here. One such adventure story is narrated here. ಅಂತಹ ಆ ದಾರಿ ತಪ್ಪಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಟ್ರೋಜನ್ ವಾರದ ನಂತರ ದಾರಿ ತಪ್ಪಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಸಂದರ್ಭದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಸಾಹಸಮಯ ಘಟನೆಗಳು ನಡೀತವೆ. ಆ ಘಟನೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಯೂಲಿಸಸ್ ಮತ್ತು ಸೈಕ್ಲೋಪಸ್ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು ಕೂಡ ಒಂದು. ಅದನ್ನೇ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಹೇಳಲಾಗಿದೆ. ಸೈಕ್ಲೋಪಸ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಯಾರು? ಸೈಕ್ಲೋಪಸ್ ರೇಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಜೈಂಟ್ಸ್. ಸೈಕ್ಲೋಪಸ್ ಜೈಂಟ್ ಲೈಕ್ ಫಿಗರ್ಸ್, ದೈತ್ಯರು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ದೊಡ್ಡದಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ದೇಹವನ್ನು ಹೊಂದಿರತಕ್ಕಂಥವ್ರು. ಹ್ಯಾವಿಂಗ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಒನ್ ಐ ಇನ್ ದ ಮಿಡ್ಲ್ ಆಫ್ ದ ಫೋರ್ ಹೆಡ್. ಹಣೆಯ ನಡುವೆ ಒಂದೇ ಒಂದು ಕಣ್ಣನ್ನು ಹೊಂದಿರತಕ್ಕಂಥವ್ರು. ಹೂ ಇನ್ಹೆಬಿಟೆಡ್ ದ ಐಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಆಫ್ ಸಿಸಿಲಿ. ಸೊ ದೇ ಇನ್ಹೆಬಿಟೆಡ್, ದೇ ಲಿವ್ಡ್. ಇನ್ಹೆಬಿಟೆಡ್ ಮೀನ್ಸ್ ದೇ ಲಿವ್ಡ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಐಲ್ಯಾಂಡ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಸಿಸಿಲಿ. ರೈಟ್? ಆರ್ ಯು ರೆಡಿ? ಈ ರೀತಿಯಾಗಿ ಯುಲಿಸಸ್ ಮತ್ತು ಸೈಕ್ಲೋಪಸ್ ಪಾತ್ರಗಳು ಬರ್ತಾವೆ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡ್ಬೋದು ನೀವು ಈ ಒಂದು ಚಿತ್ರದಲ್ಲಿ ಹಣೆಯ ಮಧ್ಯದಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದೇ ಕಣ್ಣಿದೆ. So let's go to the chapter. So after completing Trojan War, Ulysses was coming from Trojan War to his homeland, coasting on all that night by unknown. So he was traveling from unknown coast. ಗೊತ್ತಿರದೇ ಇರತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಕರಾವಳಿ ಪ್ರದೇಶ, ಸಮುದ್ರ ದಂಡೆಗೆ ಪ್ರಯಾಣಿಸ್ತಿರ್ತಾನೆ ಹಡಗಿನಲ್ಲಿ. Out of the way shores. So he was going out of the way. He lost his way. They came by daybreak to the land where Cyclops dwell. So after daybreak, as the morning, so they landed on particular island where Cyclops dwell. Dwell ಅಂದ್ರೆ live. ಎಲ್ಲಿ Cyclops ಇರ್ತಾರೆ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗ್ತದೆ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಹೋಗಿ ನಿಲ್ತಾರೆ. A sort of giant shepherds. So they were giant shepherds. Shepherds means kurikayoru. They were grazing sheep. Those shepherds are called, the shepherds are persons who are grazing sheep. That neither sow nor plow. So they do not do anything. So what they do not do? ಏನೇನು ಕೆಲಸಗಳನ್ನು ಅವರು ಮಾಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಪ್ರಶ್ನೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬಂದಾಗ ಇವುಗಳನ್ನು ಬರೀಬೇಕು. ವಾಟ್ ಸೈಕ್ಲೋಪಸ್ ಡು ನಾಟ್ ಡೂ, ಏನು ಕೆಲಸಗಳನ್ನು ಮಾಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂದಾಗ ಇವೆಲ್ಲ ನೆನ್ಪಿಟ್ಕೋಬೇಕು. ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಅಂಡರ್ಲೈನ್. ದೇ ನೈದರ್ ಸೋ ನಾರ್ ಪ್ಲೋ. ಸೊ ದೇ ನೈದರ್ sow or plow. They do not do any kind of agricultural work. But the earth untilled produce for them rich wheat and barley and grapes. So earth untilled, they did not till the land, still that land produces rich wheat, barley and grapes. ಭೂಮಿಯನ್ನು ಯಾವುದೇ ಉತ್ತದೆ ಬಿತ್ತದೆ ಇರೋದ್ರಿಂದ ಇಲ್ಲದೇ ಇದ್ರೂ ಅವರು ವೀಟ್ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಗೋಧಿ, ಬಾರ್ಲಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ದ್ರಾಕ್ಷಿ ಹಣ್ಣುಗಳನ್ನು ಬೆಳೀತಾ ಇದ್ರು. ಅಂದ್ರೇನು? ತನ್ನ ಪಡೆದ ಬೆಳೀತಾ ಇದ್ವು. Yet they have neither bread or wine. So they did not have neither bread nor wine. Bread ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ, wine ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ. Nor know the art of cultivation. They did not know how to cultivate the land. They did not know the art of agriculture. ಕೃಷಿಯನ್ನು ಹೇಗೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದು ಗೊತ್ತಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅವರಿಗೆ. Nor care to know them, for they live each man to himself. They live for themselves. Each man live for himself. ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಬ್ಬ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ತನ್ನಷ್ಟಕ್ಕೆ ತಾನೇ ಜೀವಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದ. Without laws or government or anything like a state or kingdom. So they live for themselves. So there was no government, no laws, nothing. But their dwellings are in caves. So they were living in caves. Caves means ಗವಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕಲ್ಲಿನ ಪೊಟ್ಟಣಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ವಾಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ರು. On the steep heads of mountains, where they were living, to the steep heads of mountain means to the peak. So they were living at mountain peak. ಬೆಟ್ಟದ ತುತ್ತ ತುದಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ವಾಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು. Every man's household governed by his own caprice are not governed by at all. Caprice means please check. Wherever you find a new word, please check. Caprice means whim. So they were living in their own fancy. ತಮ್ಮದೇ ಆದ ಭ್ರಮೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು ಅವರು. Not governed at all. So ಯಾರು ತಮ್ಮನ್ನು ಆಳಬಾರದು ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥದ್ದು. Ships or boats they have none. So they did not have any kind of ships and boats. ಹಡಗಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಯಾವುದೇ ಬೋಟ್ ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅವರ ಹತ್ರ. No trade or commerce. They do not have any kind of trade relationship with others. ಯಾವುದೇ ವ್ಯಾಪಾರ ವ್ಯವಹಾರ ಮತ್ತೊಬ್ಬರ ಜೊತೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ. Wish to visit other shores. So they do not wish to visit other seashores. ಬೇರೆ ಸಮುದ್ರ ದಂಡೆಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಿರ್ಲಿಲ್ಲ. Then what they do? ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ರು? Yet they have convenient places for harbors and for shipping. So still they live at harbor and convenient way for shipping. ತಮ್ಮದೇ ಆಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂತಹ ಸಮುದ್ರ ದಂಡೆ ಮೇಲೆ ವಾಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ರು. Here Ulysses with a chosen party of 12 followers. So Ulysses came there. Ulysses came there with 12 fellow men. 12 ಜನ ತನ್ನ ಸಂಗಡಿಗರ ಜೊತೆ ಬರ್ತಾನೆ. ಯಾರು? 12 ಜನ ತನ್ನ ಸಂಗಡಿಗರ ಜೊತೆ ಯುಲಿಸಸ್ ಬರ್ತಾನೆ. ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಬರ್ತಾನೆ? ಆ ಸೈಕ್ಲೋಪಸ್ ಜಾಗಕ್ಕೆ ಬರ್ತಾನೆ. Landed to explore what sort of men dwelt there. So he wanted to know what kind of people lived there. Whether hospitable or friendly to strangers. Whether they are hospitable means whether they treat these people with good manners, ಒಳ್ಳೆ ರೀತಿಯಿಂದ ತಮ್ಮನ್ನು ಗಮನಿಸ್ಕೋತಾರ ಅಂತ ನೋಡೋ ಸಲುವಾಗಿ. Friendly to strangers, are they friendly? He wanted to know. Are altogether wild or savage? Whether they were wild or savage, whether they were wild or cruel. As yet no dwellers appeared in the sight. So he did not see any dwellers, any people or any person there. The first sign of habitation which they came to was a giant's cave rudely fashioned. So they saw habitation. Habitation means their dwelling. ತಮ್ಮದೇ ಆಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ವಾಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಸೈಕ್ಲೋಪಸ್ ವಾಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಂದು ಸ್ಥಳವನ್ನು ಅವ್ರು ನೋಡ್ತಾರೆ. Giant cave, it's a big cave. Rudely fashioned, it was not neat, but of a size which beckoned the vast proportions of its owner. Beckon means indicate. So it indicates that his owner was fat and tall. The pillars which supported it being bodies of huge oaks or pines in natural state of tree. So they were supported, that house was supported by huge or tall oak tree or pine tree. ದೊಡ್ಡ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಗಿಡದ ಟೊಂಗೆಗಳಿಂದ ಎತ್ತರವಾದ ಮನೆ ನಿರ್ಮಾಣ ಮಾಡಲಾಗಿತ್ತು. And all about showed more marks of strength than skill in whoever built it. So we cannot see any kind of skill. It is just strengthful. ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ಬಲಶಾಲಿಗಳನ್ನು ಕಟ್ಟಲಾಗಿತ್ತು. Ulysses entered in that cave, in that Cyclops cave. Admired the savage contrivances, artless structure of the place. So he admired everything, whether it is not artless or it is not full of art. He admired. Longed to see the tenant of so outlandish mansion. So he longed to see, he wished to see what kind of person lived there. Mansion, big house. But well conjuring that gifts would have more avail in extracting courtesy. So he wanted to show courtesy, he wanted to give some gift to that person. Then strength could succeed in forcing it from such a one as he expected to find inhabitant. He expected that he wanted to meet that inhabitant means the person who was living there, he wanted to meet. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ವಾಸ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅವ್ರನ್ನ ಭೇಟಿ ಆಗ್ಬೇಕಂತ ಹೇಳಿ ಬಯಸಿದ. He resolved to flatter his hospitality with a present of Greek wine. So he wanted to present Greek wine to that person. of which he had stored in 12 great vessels. So he had stored wine in 12 great vessels. ದೊಡ್ಡ ದೊಡ್ಡ 12 ಪಾತ್ರೆಗಳಲ್ಲಿ ಇಟ್ಟಿದ್ದ ಅವುಗಳನ್ನು ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದ. So strong that no one ever drank it without an infusion of 20 parts of water to 1 of wine. So anyone cannot drink it easily. So he has to mix water a lot. And the fragrance of it even to so delicious. Its fragrance is so delicious. ಅದರ ಸುವಾಸನೆ ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು delicious ಇತ್ತು. ಯಾವುದು? Drink was delicious. That it would have vexed a man who smelled it to abstain from tasting it. So if anybody smell it, definitely he would like to drink it. Such a smell it has got. But whoever tasted it, it was able to raise his courage to the height of heroic deeds. But whoever tasted it, definitely he will do heroic deed. Taking with them a goat skin flagon full of his precious liquor. So it took flagon means it's a leather bag which contained 12 big vessels. 12 big vessels ಅನ್ನು ಹೊಂದಿರತಕ್ಕಂತ ಒಂದು ಲೆದರ್ ಬ್ಯಾಗ್ ಇತ್ತು. They went into the recess of the cave. So they went inside the cave. Here they pleased themselves a whole day with beholding giant's kitchen. So they were happy. Pleased means they were happy to watch the giant's kitchen, the Cyclops kitchen. How was that kitchen? ಹೇಗಿತ್ತು ಅವ್ರ kitchen? Where a flesh of sheep and goats lay strewed. Flesh of sheep and goats were there. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಆಡು ಮತ್ತು ಕುರಿಯ ಮಾಂಸವನ್ನ ಇಡಲಾಗಿತ್ತು. His dairy where goat milk stood ranged in troughs and piles. So goat's milk was stored there. His pens where he kept his live animals. Pens means it is the place where they keep animals. But those he had driven forth to pasture with him when he went out in the morning. So when he went out in the morning, he used to close it with rock. ಮುಂಜಾನೆ ಹೋಗಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ ಅದನ್ನೊಂದು ಕಲ್ಲಿನಿಂದ ಮುಚ್ಚಿ ಹೋಗ್ತಿದ್ರು ಅವರು. While they were feasting their eyes with the sight of these curiosities, their ears were suddenly deafened with a noise like the falling of house. Suddenly there was a sign of or noise of falling the house. ಆ ಇಡೀ ಮನೆಯನ್ನೇ ನಡುಗುವಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಸೌಂಡ್ ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತು. ಯಾವ ಕೇಳಿಸಿರ್ಬೋದು ಹೇಳ್ರಿ? That Cyclops has come. ಆ Cyclops ಬಂದಿರಬಹುದು. It was owner of the cave, owner of that cave, who had been abroad all day feeding his flock. So he had been abroad means he went away to feed his flock. Flock means livestock. ತನ್ನ ಆಡು ಕುರಿಗಳನ್ನು ಮೇಯಿಸಿಕೊಂಡು ಬರ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದ. ಈಗ ತಾನೇ ಬಂದವನು. As his custom was in the mountains, and now drove them home in the evening from pasture. So pasture means after grazing, those sheep and goats were taken back and kept them in the cave. He threw down a heap of firewood. So he started a heap of big firewood, which he had been gathering against supper time. So he had gained it in supper time. So he completed his late night dinner, late night food. Before the mouth of the cave, which occasioned the crash they heard. So when he entered into that cave, he closed that cave. ತಾನು ಒಳಗೆ ಬಂದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಆ ಕೇವದ ಬಾಗಿಲು ಮುಚ್ಚಿಬಿಡ್ತಾನೆ. ಯುಲಿಸಸ್ ಮತ್ತು ಅವನು 12 ಜನ ಒಳಗೆ ಉಳ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ. The Grecians hid themselves in the remote parts of the cave. So those Grecians means Greek. Those Greek who were Greeks here, Ulysses and his fellow men. So they hid themselves. They hide in remote places in cave. At the site of uncouth monster. So they did not be visible to that monster. Who was the monster? Cyclops was the monster. It was Polyphemus. What was the name of that Cyclops? Please note down. Polyphemus. The name of the Cyclops was Polyphemus. the largest and savagest of Cyclops. So he was the largest, fattest and savagest. Savagest means ancient, old. Who posted himself to be the son of Neptune. So he boasts, he used to tell loudly that he was the son of Neptune. What was the Neptune? Neptune was one of the planets. He looked more like a mountain crag. How does he look? He looked a great mountain crag. Crag andre ಏನಂತ ಕರೀತೀರಿ ನಾವು? Crag means ಏಡಿ ante ಕಾಣಿಸ್ತಿದ್ದ ಅವನು. Then a man and his brutal body. He has got a brutal body, cruel body. And he had a brutish mind answerable. So he has got a brutish mind. He did not have good ideas with him. He drove his flock, all that gave milk. So he drove his flock. He used to take those flock. Flock means sheep and goats. Gave milk to the interior of the cave. He took them in the cave, but left the male sheep. So he left the male sheep. One day male sheep and ಹೊರಗೆ ಬಿಡ್ತಾನೆ. And the he goats without. So he goats without. Then taking up a stone so massive that 20 oxen could not have drawn it. So he used to take that big stone and he used to cut that sheep. He placed it at the mouth of the cave to defend entrance. So he put one large stone to the entrance to shut that entrance cave. Sat him down to milk. So he started milking the sheep. His female ewes and his goats, which done, he hastily kindled a fire. He started a fire. He lit a fire. Throwing his great eye round the cave, for Cyclops have no more than one eye. He has got only one eye in between forehead. That placed in the midst of their forehead, by glimmering light, he discerned some of Ulysses' men. He saw that Cyclops are full famous. Saw some Ulysses men. Ulysses na janrana nodtane kelavu janrana. Oh guests, he said loudly. Oh guests, what are you? Who are you? He asked. Merchants are wandering thieves. Are you merchants or wandering thieves? ವ್ಯಾಪಾರಿಗಳ ಅಥವಾ ಕಳ್ಳರ ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. He bellowed out a voice. Bellowed out means he voiced like. Bellowed means, wait, it is there. Bellowed means roared like a bull. He roared like a bull. ಜೋರಾಗಿ ಒಂದು ಎತ್ತಿನಂತೆ ಒದರ್ತಾನೆ. Which took from them all power reply. So all Ulysses men were discourages. ಅವರಿಗೆಲ್ಲ ಧೈರ್ಯ ಹೋಗ್ಬಿಡುತ್ತದೆ. It was so astounding. Only Ulysses summoned resolution to answer. Ulysses was called to answer. Ulysses ನನ್ನ ಕರೆಸ್ತಾರೆ ಆನ್ಸರ್ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ. That they came neither for plunder nor business. So Ulysses answered that they came neither for business nor for plunder. Plunder means thief, theft. ಕಳ್ಳತನ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದಿಲ್ಲ, ವ್ಯಾಪಾರ ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದಿಲ್ಲ. But were Grecians. So they were Greeks. Who had lost their way. ನಾವು ದಾರಿಯನ್ನು ತಪ್ಪಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ, ದಾರಿ ಕಳ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀವಿ, ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಹುಡುಕ್ತಿದ್ದೀವಿ. Returning home from Troy. So we are returning home, we are going back to our home. At now they prostrated themselves humbly before his feet. So everybody prostrated, ಅವ್ರ ಮುಂದೆ ನಮಸ್ಕರಿಸ್ತಾರೆ ಅರ್ಜೆಂಟ್ ಮುಂದೆ. Whom they acknowledged to be mightier. So they thought that he was a mightier, ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ಶಕ್ತಿಶಾಲಿ ಅಂತ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಂಡು ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಅವನಿಗೆ ನಮಸ್ಕರಿಸ್ತಾರೆ. They and he besought him that he would bestow the rights of hospitality upon them. So he told that he will show hospitality, ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ಒಳ್ಳೆಯ ರೀತಿಯಿಂದ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಜೊತೆ ನಡೆದುಕೊಳ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ. He replied nothing, but that giant Polyphemus or Cyclops did not reply anything, but gripping two of the nearest of them. So he hold two of Ulysses men, ಇಬ್ಬರನ್ನ ಹಿಡಿದುಕೊಳ್ತಾನೆ. Them as if they had been no more than children. So before him they seemed like children. ಅವನು ಹಿಡಿದುಕೊಂಡಾಗ ಆ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಆಕಾರದ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಯ ಮುಂದೆ ಇವರು ಸಣ್ಣ ಹುಡುಗರಂತೆ ಕಾಣಿಸಿದ್ರು. He dashed their brains out against the earth. He dashed them. ಜೋರಾಗಿ ನೆಲಕ್ಕೆ ಅವರನ್ನು ಹೊಡಿತಾನೆ, ಅವರ ಮೆದುಳು ಹೊರಗೆ ಬರ್ತದೆ. Shocking to relate, tore in pieces their limbs. ಅವರ ಮೂಳೆಗಳನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ಮುರಿತಾನೆ. and devoured them, swallowed them, ಎಲ್ಲವನ್ನು ತಿಂದುಬಿಡ್ತದೆ. At warm and trembling, still warm and trembling, ನಡುತ್ತಾ ನಡುತ್ತಾ ತಿಂದುಬಿಡ್ತದೆ. Making lions meal of them. So he said that it's lion's meal. Lapping the blood. So blood was lapped. There was a blood stain on the lap. ಮೊಣಕಾಲ ಮೇಲೆಲ್ಲ blood ಇರುತ್ತೆ. For the Cyclops are man-eaters. So Cyclops are man-eaters. Cannibals we can say. Man-eaters, ಈ ಮನುಷ್ಯರನ್ನು ತಿನ್ನೋರಿಗೆ cannibals ಅಂತ ಕರೀತಾರೆ. And esteem human flesh to be delicacy for above goats or kids, though by reason their abhorred customs. So he said he praised, that Cyclops praised that flesh was delicious. Few men approached the coast. So few men came to the coast. ಕೆಲವು ಜನ ಆ ಒಂದು ಸಮುದ್ರ ದಂಡಿಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ. Except some stragglers, and now and then shipwrecked mariners. So there was a ship which was wrecked. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಶಿಪ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. At a sight so horrid, Ulysses and his men were like distracted people. So Ulysses and his men were distracted people. They did not think even what to do. ಏನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಂತ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗಲಿಲ್ಲ. When he had made an end of his wicked supper. So he thought that their end has come. They thought that their end has come. ತಮ್ಮನ ಕೊನೆ ಬಂತು ಅಂತ ಅನ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾರೆ. Drained a draught of goat's milk down his prodigious throat and lay down and slept among his goats. ಆ ಜೇಂಟ್ ಲೆಗ್ ಸೈಕ್ಲೋಪಸ್ ಮಲ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾನೆ, ಇವರು ಒಂದ್ ಕಡೆ ಮಲ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾರೆ. Then Ulysses drew his sword and half resolved to thrust it. ತನ್ನ ಖಡ್ಗವನ್ನು ತೆಗೆದು ಏನು ಮಾಡ್ಬೇಕಂತ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ. With all his might in at the bosom of sleeping monster. So ಅವನ ಬಾಸಮ್, ಅವನ ಬೆನ್ನಿಗೆ, ಅವನ ತೋಳಿಗೆ ಜೋರಾಗಿ ತಿವಿತಾನೆ ಸೋಡ್ಲಿಂದ ಖಡ್ಗದಿಂದ. ಬಾಸಮ್ ಆಫ್ ಸ್ಲೀಪಿಂಗ್ ಮಾನ್ಸ್ಟರ್, ಬಟ್ ವೈಸರ್ ಥಾಟ್ಸ್ ರಿಸ್ಟ್ರೈನ್ಡ್ ಹಿಮ್. ಬಟ್ ವೈಸರ್ ಥಾಟ್ಸ್, ಈ ಥಾಟ್ ದಟ್ ಇಟ್ ಈಸ್ ನಾಟ್ ಫೇರ್, ಮಲಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥವ್ರನ್ನ ಆ ರೀತಿ ಮಾಡಬಾರ್ದು ಅಂತ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ. ಎಲ್ಸ್ ದೇ ಹ್ಯಾಡ್ ದೇರ್ ವಿದೌಟ್ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಆಲ್ ಪೆರಿಶ್ಡ್. ಸೊ ಇಫ್ ದೇ ಡು ನಾಟ್ ಡೂ ಎನಿ ಟ್ರಿಕ್ ದೇ ವಿಲ್ ಬಿ ಡಿಸ್ಟ್ರಾಯ್ಡ್. ಏನಾದರೂ ಮಾಡದೇ ಇದ್ರೆ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ನಾವು ನಾಶವಾಗಿ ಬಿಡ್ತೀವಿ ಅಂತ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ. For none but Polyphemus himself could have removed that mass of stone which he had placed to guard the entrance. So unless he removed that big stone, they cannot go out. ದೊಡ್ಡ ಬಂಡೆಯನ್ನ ಆ ಒಂದು ಕೇವಲ ಬಾಗಿಲು ಹಾಕಿಟ್ಟಿರ್ತಾನಲ್ಲ, ಅದು ಸರ್ಸುವರೆಗೆ ಹೊರಗೆ ಹೋಗ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಬರಲ್ಲ ಅವರಿಗೆ. So they were constrained to abide all that night in fear. ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಹೆದರ್ತಾ ಅಲ್ಲೊಳಗೆ ಕೂತ್ಕೊಂಡ್ರು. When day came, the Cyclops woke. ಬೆಳಕಾದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಸೈಕ್ಲೋಪಸ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. And kindling a fire, so he lit a fire, made his breakfast of 2 other of his unfortunate prisoners. So he ate 2 more Ulysses men, ಮತ್ತಿಬ್ಬರನ್ನ ತಿಂತಾನೆ ಬ್ರೇಕ್ಫಾಸ್ಟ್ ಆಗಿ. Then milked his goats as he was accustomed. So after eating these 2 men, he drank goat milk. Pushing aside the vast stone, he pushed the vast stone, ದೊಡ್ಡ ಒಂದು ಬಂಡೆಯನ್ನು ಸರಿಸ್ತಾನೆ. Shutting it again, ಹೊರಗೆ ಹೋಗಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಮುಚ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬಿಡ್ತಾನೆ. When he had done upon the prisoners with as much ease as a man opens it, shuts it queerly. So ಅವನು ಸರಳವಾಗಿ ಓಪನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ, ಉಳಿದವ್ರಿಗೆ ಆಗ್ತಿರಲ್ಲ. He let out his flock, drove them before him with whistlings as sharp as winds in storms. So he went out for pasturing, or he took those goats to graze. ಆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಶಿಪ್ಸ್ಗಳನ್ನು ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಂಡು ಹೊರಡ್ತಾನೆ. Then Ulysses, of whose strength or cunning the Cyclops seems to have had as little heed as of infants. So Ulysses was thinking again and again what to do, how to overcome this problem. ಈ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆಯಿಂದ ಹೆಂಗೆ ಹೊರಗೆ ಬರೋದು ಅಂತ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ. With the remnant of his men, which Cyclops had not devoured. ಎಷ್ಟು ಯಾರನ್ನ ತಿನ್ನಲಾರ್ದ ಉಳಿಸಿರ್ತಾನೆ ಅವ್ರ ಜೊತೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ವಿಚಾರ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ. Gave manifest proof how far manly wisdom excels brutish force. So Ulysses used his manly wisdom, ಮನುಷ್ಯ ಜಾಣತನವನ್ನ ಬಳಸ್ತಾನೆ. He chose a stake from among the wood which the Cyclops had piled up for firing. So ಉದ್ದಾದ ಒಂದು ಕಟ್ಟಿಗೆಯನ್ನು ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಳ್ಳುತ್ತಾನೆ. In length and thickness like a mast, it was a long wood which he sharpened, ಅದನ್ನು ಚೂಪಾಗಿ ಕೆತ್ತುತ್ತಾನೆ ಆ ಕಟ್ಟಿಗೆಯನ್ನ. And hardened in the fire, so he hardened it in fire, ಬೆಂಕಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಗಟ್ಟಿಯಾಗಿ ಅದನ್ನು ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ. And selected 4 men, 4 ಜನರನ್ನ ಕೂಡಿಸ್ತಾನೆ. Instructed them what they should do with this stake, ಅದನ್ನ ಏನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕಂತೆಲ್ಲ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ. And made them perfect in their parts, ಏನೇನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕೆಲ್ಲ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು, ಯಾರೇನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು 4 ಜನರಲ್ಲಿ ಅಂತ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ. When the evening was come, so evening came, the Cyclops drove home his sheep. Again the Cyclops entered with his sheep. And as fortune directed, either of the purpose or his memory was overruled by the gods to his hurt, he drove the males of his flock. So he took one male sheep, ಮತ್ತು ಒಂದು ಆಡು ಅಥವಾ ಕುರಿಯನ್ನು ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಳ್ಳುತ್ತಾನೆ. Contrary to his custom, along with the dams into pens, then shutting the stone of the cave, ಒಂದು ಕುರಿಯನ್ನು ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಂಡು ಉಳಿದ ಅಲ್ಲ ಬಾಗಿಲನ್ನು ಮುಚ್ಚಿಬಿಡ್ತಾನೆ. He fell to his horrible supper, so he decided to eat. When he had dispatched 2 more of them Grecians, so he again took 2 Ulysses men, ಮತ್ತೆ ಇಬ್ಬರನ್ನು ತೆಗೆದುಕೊಳ್ತಾನೆ. Ulysses waxed bold with the contemplation of his project. Waxed means he thought his plan. Took a bowl of Greek wine, so he took a bowl of Greek wine ಅನ್ನು ಅವನಿಗೆ ಕೊಡ್ತಾನೆ. And merrily dared to Cyclops to drink, so he convinced Cyclops to drink it. ಅವನಿಗೆ ಇದನ್ನು ಕುಡಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. Cyclops, he said, take a bowl of wine from the hand of your guest. So Ulysses said that it's a kind good wine, please accept it. It may serve to digest the man's flesh. ನೀನೇನು ಮನುಷ್ಯರನ್ನು ತಿಂದಿಯಲ್ಲ, ಇದು ಜೀರ್ಣ ಆಗಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಇದು ಒಳ್ಳೆಯ ಒಂದು ಡ್ರಿಂಕ್, ಕುಡಿಯಿರಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. That you have eaten, show what drink our ship held before it went down. See, so to digest you have to drink it. All I ask in recompense, if you find it good, is to be dismissed in a whole skin. That Cyclops finally agreed to drink. Truly you must look to have few visitors, if you observe this new custom of eating your guest, so you can enjoy eating guests. ಈ ತರ ನೀನು ಗೆಸ್ಟ್ ಅನ್ನ ತಿನ್ಬಹುದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. The brute took and drank. Who was the brute here? Cyclops, fully famous. He drank, vehemently enjoyed the taste of wine, so that Cyclops enjoyed the taste which was new to him. That drink was new to him, and swilled again at the flagon and entreated for more. So Cyclops drank and drank, prayed Ulysses to tell him his name, that he might bestow a gift upon the man he had given him such a brave liquor. So he praised Ulysses that he had given him brave liquor, good liquor. ನೀನು ಒಳ್ಳೆಯ ಒಂದು ಮದ್ಯವನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟದ್ದಕ್ಕಾಗಿ ನೀನು ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತದೆ. The Cyclops, he said, had grapes, but this rich juice he sold was simply divine. Cyclops praised that this drink was divine, it's good. Again Ulysses piled him with wine, and the fool drank it as fast as he poured it out. That fool, who was the fool here? Cyclops was the fool, that he drank and drank. Again he asked the name of benefactor, which Ulysses, he again asked, what's your name? Ulysses said, I am Ulysses. Cunningly dissembling said, my name is Norman. So that Ulysses did not tell his name. He said his name was Norman. What was name? Norman. My kindred and friends in my own country call me Norman. So he said that his countrymen call him Norman. Then said the Cyclops, this is the kindness I will show thee, Norman. So I will show you one kindness. ನಾನು ನಿನಗೊಂದು ದಯೆಯನ್ನು ತೋರಿಸ್ತೀನಿ. ಏನಂದ್ರೆ, I will eat thee last of all thy friends. I will eat you after all your friends. ಎಲ್ಲ ನಿನ್ನ ಫ್ರೆಂಡ್ಸ್ ಅನ್ನು ತಿಂದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಕೊನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನೀನು ತಿಂತೀನಿ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಅಷ್ಟು ಕರುಣೆ ನೀನು ತೋರಿಸ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ Cyclops. He had scarce expressed his savage kindness when the fumes of strong wine overcame him. So he drank that wine. He reeled down upon the floor, sank into deep sleep. That Cyclops slept seriously. Ulysses watched his time while monster lay insensible. Monster, who was the monster? Cyclops was the monster. Big giant body. So he was sensible. He could not move here and there. And heartening up his men, so he gave signal to his men. They placed the sharp end of the stake in the fire till it was heated red hot. So they made a sharp thing which was heated red hot. ಅದನ್ನು ಕೆಂಪಾಗಿ ಕಾಯಿಸಿರ್ತಾರೆ. Some God gave them a courage beyond that which they were used to have. So it was like that. Some God has given them courage. ಯಾರೋ ದೇವರು ಧೈರ್ಯ ಕೊಟ್ಟಂತಾಗಿತ್ತು. The 4 men with difficulty, already 8 people were killed. 4 men with difficulty bored the sharp end of the huge stake, which they had heated red hot, right into the eye of a drunken cannibal. So they hurted, they stick that stake of red hot in the eye of cannibal. ಸೈಕ್ಲೋಪಸ್ ಒಂದೇ ಒಂದು ಕಣ್ಣಲ್ಲಿ ಜೋರಾಗಿ ತೆಗೆದು ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ ಕೆಂಪಾಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಕಾಯಿಸಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಆ ಚೂಪಾದ ವಸ್ತುವನ್ನು. ಕ್ಯಾನಿಬಲ್, ಮ್ಯಾನ್ ಈಟರ್, ಒನ್ ಹೂ ಈಟ್ಸ್ ಹ್ಯೂಮನ್ಸ್. He waking roared with pain. So that giant woke. He roared with pain. He was tolerating pain. ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ನೋವಾಗಿ ಜೋರಾಗಿ ಚೀರ್ತಾನೆ. So loud that all the cavern broke into the claps like thunder. So ಎಲ್ಲ ಸುತ್ತಮುತ್ತಲಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸೈಕ್ಲೋಪಸ್ ಅವನ ಕಡೆ ಬರ್ತಾರೆ. They fled and dispersed into corners. So when all came, so all Ulysses men dispersed. So they went here and there. ಅಲ್ಲಲ್ಲೇ ಅವಿತ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾರೆ. He plucked the burning stake from his eye. ತನ್ನ ಕಣ್ಣೊಳಗೇನು ಸಿಕ್ಕೊಂಡಿತ್ತು ನೋಡು ಅಂತ ತೆಗಿತಾನೆ. Hurled the wood madly about the cave. So he hurled the wood. ದೊಡ್ಡ ಬಂಡೆನ ಸರಿಸ್ತಾನೆ. Then he cried out with a mighty voice for his brethren. Brethren means brothers. He cried out for help. The Cyclops that dwelt hard by caverns upon hills. The Cyclops were living in their homes. So they all came there. They, hearing the terrible shout, came flocking from all parts to inquire what ailed Polypus. What happened to Polyphemus? They came. What cause he had for making such horrid clamors in that night time to break their sleep? What was the reason to break their sleep? They asked. He made answer from within. So he gave answer from within. That Norman had hurt him. ಒಬ್ಬ ನಾರ್ಮನ್ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಒಬ್ಬ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ತನಗೆ ಹರ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾನೆ. ನಾರ್ಮನ್ ಹ್ಯಾಡ್ ಕಿಲ್ಡ್ ಹಿಮ್. ನಾರ್ಮನ್ ತನ್ನ ಕೊಲ್ತಿದ್ದಾನೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. ನಾರ್ಮನ್ ವಾಸ್ ವಿತ್ ಹಿಮ್ ಇನ್ ದ ಕೇವ್. ಹಿ ಸೇಡ್ ನಾರ್ಮನ್ ವಾಸ್ ವಿತ್ ಹಿಮ್. ಆ ಕೇವ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಾರ್ಮನ್ ಅಂತಕ್ಕಂಥ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿ ಇದ್ದಾನೆ. ದೇ ರಿಪ್ಲೈಡ್, ಇಫ್ ನೋ ಮ್ಯಾನ್ ಹ್ಯಾಸ್ ಹರ್ಟ್ ದಿ ಅಂಡ್ ನೋ ಮ್ಯಾನ್ is with thee, then thou art alone. ಯಾರು ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ, ಯಾರು ಇದ್ರೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾಗ್ತಿತ್ತು, ಯಾರು ಇರಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. And the evil that affects thee is from the hand of heaven. ಯಾರು ಸ್ವರ್ಗದಿಂದ ಅಥವಾ ನರಕದಿಂದ ನಿನಗೆ ಈ ರೀತಿ ಮಾಡಿರ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ. Which none can resist or help. So nobody can help you. So they left him. All other Cyclops left him and went their way, thinking that some disease troubled him. So they thought that some disease troubled them. ಯಾವುದೋ ಒಂದು ಡಿಸೀಸ್ ಅವನ ಆಗಿರ್ಬೋದು ಅಂತೇಳಿ ಹೊರಡ್ತಾರೆ. He blind and ready to split with anguish of pain. So he wanted to show his pain. ತನ್ನ ನೋವನ್ನ ಜೋರಾಗಿ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾನೆ. Went groaning up and down in the dark. He was going up and down, ಈ ಕಡೆ ಆ ಕಡೆ ಓಡಾಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾನೆ. To find the doorway. ಆ ಡೋರ್ವೇ ಅನ್ನ ಗೊತ್ತು ಕಂಡುಹಿಡಿಯೋ ಸಲುವಾಗಿ ಈ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ಆ ಕಡೆ ಓಡಾಡ್ದ. Which when he found, he removed the stone. When he found the door, he removed that big stone and sat in the threshold. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಲ್ತಾನೆ. Feeling if he could lay hold on any man going out with the sheep. ಯಾರಾದರೂ ಆ ಶೀಪ್ ಜೊತೆ ಹೊರಗಡೆ ಹೋಗೋದನ್ನು ಅವನಿಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಾದ್ರೆ ಅವ್ನು ಹಿಡಿದು ಕೊಲ್ಲಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ. Which the day now breaking were beginning to issue forth to their accustomed pastures. ಸೊ ಶಿಪ್ ಜೊತೆ ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಹೋಗ್ತಿರ್ತಾರೆ, ಅವ್ರು ಹಿಡಿಬೇಕಂತ ಯೋಚನೆ ಮಾಡ್ತಾನೆ. ಬಟ್ ಯುಲಿಸಸ್ ಮೇಡ್ ನಾಟ್ಸ್ ಆಫ್ ಓಶಿಯರ್ ಟ್ವಿಗ್ಸ್. ಯುಲಿಸಸ್ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾನೆ, ತನ್ನದೇ ಆಗಿರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಗಂಟೆಗಳನ್ನ ದಾರದಿಂದ ಗಂಟು ಹಾಕೊಂಡಿರ್ತಾನೆ. ಆ ಶೀಪ್ಗಳಿಗೆ ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡ್ರಿ, ಆ ಶೀಪ್ನ ಕೆಳಭಾಗಕ್ಕೆ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟ್ರಕ್ಷನ್ ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರ್ತಾನೆ. ಎಲ್ಲ ಜನರು ಆ ಶೀಪ್ನ ಕೆಳಭಾಗಕ್ಕೆ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ, ದಾರದಿಂದ ಗಂಟು ಹಾಕೊಂಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ. But Ulysses made knots osier twigs upon which the Cyclops commonly slept. ಅವನು ಮಲಕೊಂಡಾಗ ಈ ತರ ಮಾಡಿರ್ತಾರೆ. With which he tried the fattest and fleetest of the rams together, 3 in rank, and under the middle ram he tied a man. 3 ಜನರನ್ನ ಅದೇ ತರ ಕಟ್ಟಿ and himself last, ಕೊನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ತನ್ನ ಕಟ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾನೆ. Wrapping himself fast with both his hands in the rich wool of one. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಶೀಪ್ನ ವೂಲ್ನಿಂದ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕಟ್ಕೊಳ್ತಾನೆ. The fairest of the flock, and now the sheep began to issue forth very fast. Sheep were moving out now. They passed. He felt the backs of those fleecy wools, never dreaming. ಅವನಿಗೆ ಮೇಲೆಲ್ಲ ನೋಡ್ತಾನೆ, ಯಾರು ಕಾಣಿಸಲ್ಲ. ಮೇಲೆ ಆ ಕುರಿಯ ಮೇಲೆಲ್ಲ ಕೈ ಆಡಿಸಿ ನೋಡ್ತಾನೆ, ಯಾರಾದ್ರೂ ಇದಾರ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿ. They carried his enemies under them. ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಇರುವುದನ್ನು ಅವನು ನೋಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ. So they passed on till the last ram came loaded with his wool. So everybody, all 4 including Ulysses, came out. Ulysses together, he stopped that ram and felt him, had his hand once in their hair of Ulysses. ಒಂದ್ಸಲ ತನ್ನ ಜೇಂಟ್ ಕೈ ಏನಾಗ್ತದೆ, ಯುಲಿಸಸ್ನ ಹೇರ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. Yet knew it not, ಗೊತ್ತಾಗಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅವನಿಗೆ. When Ulysses found himself free, now Ulysses was free, he came out of the cave. He let go his hold and assisted disengaging his friends. So he assisted his 4 friends, the rams which he had befriended them, they carried off with them to the ships. So they took those sheep, where their companions, with the tears in their eyes, received them as men escaped from death. So everybody had great sigh. ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ನಿಟ್ಟುಸಿರ್ಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ. They thought that they escaped from death. They piled their oars and set their sails. So they started sailing again. When they were got as far off from the shore as a voice could reach, so they go far off the shore. ಬಹಳಷ್ಟು ದೂರ ಹೋದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಜೋರಾಗಿ ಯುಲಿಸಸ್ ಕೂಗ್ತಾನೆ. Ulysses cried out to the Cyclops. ಜೋರಾಗಿ ಸೈಕ್ಲೋಪ್ ಅನ್ನು ಕೋರುತ್ತಾಳೆ. Cyclops, thou should not have so much abused by monstrous strength as to eat thy guests. So it was very worst to eat guest ಅನ್ನ ತಿನ್ನೋದು ಬಹಳ worst ಇದು. The Cyclops heard and came forth enraged. Cyclops heard this and he came to the shore with angry mood. In his anger he plucked a fragment of rock. He took a big rock, threw it with blind fury at the ships. ಜೋರಾಗಿ ಶಿಪ್ ಕಡೆ ಒಗಿತಾನೆ. It narrowly escaped lightning upon the bark in which Ulysses sat. So ಸ್ವಲ್ಪದರಲ್ಲಿ ಯುಲಿಸಸ್ಸಿಗೆ ಬಡಿಯೋದು ತಪ್ಪು ಹೋಗ್ತದೆ. But with the fall it raised so fierce an ebb as bore back the ship till it almost touched the shore. ಅದು ಅವರ ಶಿಪ್ ಅನ್ನು ಮುಟ್ಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಆಗೋದಿಲ್ಲ. Cyclops said, Ulysses, if any ask thee who imposed on thee that unsightly blemish in thine eye, say it was Ulysses. ಯಾರಾದರೂ ಬಂದ್ರೆ ಯುಲಿಸಸ್ ಹೀಗೆ ಮಾಡಿದಾನೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳಿದ. Son of Laertes, the king of Ithaca, am I called the waster of cities. The king of cities. ಯಾರು ಮಾಡಿ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇವ್ರು ಮಾಡಿ ಹೋಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ. Then they crowded sail, so they started their sail. Beat the old sea, so they were going on the sea. Went forth with a forward gale, so they went with new direction. They went with new direction. In this way, Ulysses and 4 men escaped from Cyclops wisely with their tricks. So this is the short story, or this is an extract taken from Adventures of Ulysses. So read that story completely, you will enjoy a lot. Dear children, please read this short story once, twice, and try to answer all the questions. You can have 2 marks questions on supplement reading, or we can say non-detailed text. It is very easy to write. Okay, so let's meet in the next video with the new topic, with the new idea. Till then, please take care, and still if you have not subscribed our channel, please subscribe our channel. ಆತ್ಮೀಯ ವೀಕ್ಷಕರು, ಇದುವರೆಗೂ ತಾವು ನಮ್ಮ ಚಾನಲ್ನ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಕ್ರೈಬ್ ಮಾಡದೇ ಇದ್ರೆ ತಮ್ಮ ಸ್ಕ್ರೀನ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಕಾಣ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಕೆಂಪು ಬಣ್ಣದ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಕ್ರೈಬ್ ಬಟನ್ ಅನ್ನು ಪ್ರೆಸ್ ಮಾಡಿ ತಾವು ನಮ್ಮ ಚಾನಲ್ನ ವೀಕ್ಷಕರಾಗಬಹುದು, ತಮ್ಮ ಚಾನಲ್ನ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಕ್ರೈಬ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು. ಇದರಿಂದ ನಾವು ಅಪ್ಲೋಡ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಕ್ಕಂಥ ಪ್ರತಿಯೊಂದು ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಲಿಂಕ್ ಕ್ಷಣಾರ್ಧದಲ್ಲಿ ತಮಗೆ ಬರ್ತದೆ. ಸೊ ಡಿಯರ್ ವ್ಯೂವರ್ಸ್, ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು ಫಾರ್ ವಾಚಿಂಗ್. ಲೆಟ್ಸ್ ಮೀಟ್ ಇನ್ ದ ನೆಕ್ಸ್ಟ್ ವಿಡಿಯೋ. ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು. ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಟೇಕ್ ಕೇರ್.